Yeah, we'll be coming back to the same place.
This really is an expensive retail area. Ready, 1, 2, 3. All them people hiding from the rain. A little bit of rain didn't kill anyone, did it? Now, if you'd like, I can take the canopy down so you'll have a better view of the buildings. No. And the people at the back will feel a lot better.
Never mind the show. Keep your hand in there. You're not allowed to put your hand out.
Now on the left-hand side, coming up the left-hand side, we have the old Church of St. Andrew. It's now the tourism office. And back in the Viking days, this was a large mound of earth stood there. And this was called the King Mound. And this is where the Vikings would hold their council. They would sit around the large mound of earth. Now, someone get the pin number there, look. This is a great hike for the pin numbers. 84293, that's grand, everybody get ready. Ready, 1, 2, 3. Now turn the left here, and directly facing us is the Bank of Ireland. And there's no windows in the Bank of Ireland. This is because during the Napoleonic Wars, there was a tax on glass. And have you ever heard the saying, it's daylight robbery? Well, that's where it comes from. Now, this is Dame Street, and all these little streets on the right-hand side, they all lead to the Temple Bar. The Temple Bar is the cultural quarter of Dublin City. There's over 70 restaurants and bars. And if you go down there about 3 o'clock in the morning, you will see the culture oozing out of the people. Yes. Now we're going down a hill here. Let's hope the brakes work this time. Now at the end of this hill there was a small river, and I ran across into the River Liffey. Now it's underground now, it's called the River Puddle, and it formed a large black pool of water in this area. And black pool translated into Irish is Dublin, and this is how Dublin gets its name. So you're in Blackpool, not Dublin. Now when Dublin was a medieval city, it had 3 entrances, 3 large gates, you'll see on the coat of arms. And where we are now, just where these traffic lights, see where these folks on the right hand side are standing? They're standing beside a large lump of granite. And this gives the direction of the city walls. There's one also on the left here, at the silver box, and there's one at the end of the lane. This gives the direction that the city walls went in. And where we are now, just facing us, between these 2 granite, this is where one of the gates was. This is where the east gate into the city was. Just stood here. Now on the left-hand side we have City Hall. This was originally the Royal Exchange. Strangers in the night. Now if you look to your left here, this is the state entrance into Dublin Castle. Now over the arch there's a statue. That's the Statue of Justice. Now she has her back to the people. Now the people of Dublin weren't happy when that statue went up. And the only time that statue has ever turned around was when Sinead O'Connor was doing a gig in there. On the left, these ladies on the left. Ready, 1, 2, 3. Now directly facing us is Christchurch Cathedral. But I'm going to talk about that later. We don't want to talk about it now. Now at the end of this road, on the right hand side, just at the traffic lights, there's a small road runs down to the right hand side. And this is called Fishamble Street. Now in medieval days, this was the fish market. This was the street of the fish market.
No.
And this is where Molly Malone was reputed to have got her fish, down in Fishamble Street here. Now in 1742, Handel's Messiah was first performed in Fishamble Street, in Nell's Music Hall. Ready, 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to show you the oldest fish and chip shop in Dublin City. Look at that poor little girl sitting there. And you're giving out about the rain. And she's sitting there with no coat on. It's on the right hand side. Leo Burdocks, yes indeed. Famous fish and chip shop. Now folks, on the left hand side we have a car park. Now there used to be a house there one stage. And the man who lived in the house was called Jonathan Swift. And he was the author of Gulliver's Travels. Now if you look to your left here folks, you see over these doors, you see large plaques. They depict scenes from Gulliver's Travels. Now the people at the back, you have a great view of those. Yes indeed. Now over to the right hand side, we have St. Patrick's Park. Also St. Patrick's Cathedral. This is the largest cathedral in the world. Sorry, I'm just looking at that man's face at the back. This is the largest cathedral. I'm going to phone the office and get them to stop the rain. It's also the National Cathedral. And it was built in the 12th century. Now Jonathan Swift, he was the Dean of St. Patrick's Cathedral at one stage. And there wasn't a lot of food in Dublin to feed the families, for everyone. So he suggested in a letter to the Times in London that every family in Dublin should eat at least one of their children. Now this was a great idea, but it didn't take off. But this is where the idea for the kiddies menu started, in Dublin, yes indeed. Now St. Patrick, what did he do for the Irish? Well, he gave us Christianity. He drove the snakes out of Ireland, he did. And he gave us a day off work and a day off school. On the 17th of March every year, St. Paddy's Day. 1, 2, 3. Hey! And there's not always rain on St. Paddy's Day. Now St. Patrick, he wasn't Irish, he was Welsh. And he was taken over here as a young boy as a slave. And he was brought up in the County Antrim, minding sheep. Now I don't know about you, but I would not let a Welshman mind my sheep, no. Now St. Patrick escaped, and he went to France. And he had a call to come back to convert the Irish. So he jumped on a Ryanair flight and he came straight back home. Yes, looked after us all. That's the entrance into St. Patrick's Cathedral. And on the right hand side here, the gates into St. Patrick's Park. And just on the left hand side, you see a small flower bed. See the small flower bed? And that's one of the sites of St. Patrick's Well. Yeah, that's one of his wells was there. Now it's great to get a little bit of rain and wash all the dust away and all that, isn't it? Now if you have the good mascara, I won't run this weather. Nothing to worry about there, yes. Do well, hold it out there. We're going to do the mascara test when we get off the vehicle. See who bought the best mascara. Now these houses on the right hand side, these red brick buildings here, these are called the Ivy Trust buildings. And these were built for the workers of the Guinness Brewery. They had running water and good sanitation. And most families in Dublin, back in the 1900s, they only lived in one room. So these were very good. Now we're going to the highest hill in Dublin City. And can anyone guess the name of the street on top of it? It's called High Street. Yes, good guess. And this area around here is called the Liberties. Because when Dublin was a medieval city, it was a walled city. And if you lived inside the walls, you paid taxes. And you lived by the rules of the city. You had to do what he told you. Now, if you didn't want to pay taxes, and you wanted to live outside, you could live outside. And you had liberty to do as you pleased. And this is how the word and liberties came known. Liberty meaning freedom, of course. Now, directly facing us is Christ Church Cathedral. Now, this was founded by a Viking king called King Sitrick. He was known as Silkenbeard.